And we are live. The mic is hot. What's going on, guys? So today is Wednesday, June 26th. Now, I officially leave my job, my 9 to 5 job, in 2 days. On Friday, that's my official last day. Now, I mentioned this in the first episode of the podcast. This job that I had, it was, I wouldn't say it was a dream job, but it was a very ideal job for me to have straight out of school. When I was in school, I always knew I wanted to work with cameras. I wanted to be creative. I wanted to make content. And, this was a full-time job that would pay me a full salary, full benefits to do just that. And I am highly appreciative of that. But I'm a big believer of, there's chapters in life. And I'm not one to keep things repetitive and keep things the same for a long period of time. So my time has come, and I'm officially going to be starting a new chapter in my life. And a couple things before I really get into this podcast. You might hear some background noise. I'm still in my house right now. I have not hit the road yet. I wouldn't say I'm far from hitting the road, but I still have some things I have to do. I actually don't even have my van in my possession. It's still in the shop. It's getting worked on. Again, I went over that in the first podcast. So if you guys kind of want to get fully caught up to date, I recommend you go to the very first podcast. And I kind of explain what's going on, what the whole deal is with the van and why it's in the shop and stuff. But yeah, so if you hear some background noise, the whole point of this podcast is to kind of document my experience going from, I guess, like a normal dude who works a 9 to 5 to really going out and traveling and living on the road and experiencing what it's like to really be, I guess, a nomad, a digital nomad. I don't know. I hate putting labels like that because it seems very hipsterish, but I guess just experiencing the van life, the hashtag van life experience. So I mean, it's the audio might not sound perfect. I do have some good equipment. I got a nice USB condenser microphone. I got my laptop. I got everything that I need, but I might not be in a controlled environment all the time. That's actually, I guess the niche of this podcast is it's just me updating you guys of what's going on in my experience, my adventure on the road. So I might be giving you guys, an episode from in the mountains or in a campground or a national park or inside my van in a Walmart parking lot, anywhere, So it might not be the most perfect audio engineered environment, but it's real and it's just basically me documenting. I don't want to really be creating anything. I just want to be documenting my journey. So that's that. And again, before I get deeper into this episode, I just want to say, if this is your first time hearing me and you kind of want to get to know me more, feel free to check me out on YouTube. That's where a lot of my work is. That's where like the visual aspect of my creations are. So that's just my name on YouTube, Steven Richard. So feel free to join the family there. Check out some of my stuff. Subscribe if you like it. And if not, if you guys are just into podcasts, if that's your thing, that's awesome. I appreciate having you here as well. Yeah, I guess we'll start with the idea of minimalism. And this has been something that I've been aware of for a while. There's a documentary called Minimalism, which is actually filmed by one of my favorite YouTubers, Matt Diavella. He filmed that actually before he even had a YouTube channel. But yeah, it's a great documentary, and it really opened up my eyes and a lot of people's eyes to this consumer lifestyle that we're all living, and which is basically just, hey, get a job, buy stuff, and buy enough stuff so that you're going to have to keep working that job so you can keep affording the stuff that you're buying. And it's almost, saying a rat race is almost, it has to be the perfect analogy, right? Because if you ever owned like a hamster or anything and you had one of those like little hamster wheels, that's exactly what you're doing when you're living that kind of lifestyle, that go to work so you can afford to buy your stuff. I want to have a nice car. I want to have a big flat screen TV. I want to always update my iPhone. I want to get the newest iPhone every single year. I want the newest clothes. And so many people are doing that stuff. They're spending out of their means, if that's even the right way to put it, right? Out of their means. They're spending over their limits, which is resulting them in having debt, which is resulting them in being a slave to the things that they own. Which is actually a coincidence because they don't actually own them if they're in debt, right? Their credit card company owns them, the bank owns it. But Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if you guys are listening to this, you've probably already heard of minimalism. You've probably checked it out. So I guess what I just want to talk about is my experience kind of transitioning from a normal dude who owns a bunch of stuff in a house to someone who's going to not own a lot of stuff and be living out of a van on the road. So the past 2 weekends, me and my girlfriend have spent our time having yard sales. We've had 2 yard sales, and one of them was massively successful. The second one, not so much. We sold some stuff, but not so much. And something that we told ourselves, after the second yard sale, whatever didn't sell, we're just going to donate it. And that's exactly what we did. So, like I said, the very first yard sale was massively successful. We sold a ton of stuff, super busy. It was a beautiful day outside. A lot of people showed up. A lot of people took stuff home because it was pretty much a fire sale. I mean, we were selling things like she had clothes, like buckets and buckets of clothes, like good brand clothes too, like Victoria's Secret, Express. She was selling everything $1 a piece, so people were going crazy. We got rid of a lot of stuff, and like I said, the second yard sale, the one that we just had this past weekend, it wasn't so successful. I don't know why. I mean, it was actually like a nicer day out this weekend, but it was not even half as much stuff got sold this yard sale, and it wasn't just us because I drove around and I saw other yard sales and there was no one at any of those yard sales. I don't know what the deal was with that, but anyway, nonetheless, I stuck to my promise. Everything that didn't sell at the yard sale, we didn't even bring it back into my house. We just packed it up into the cars, drove it to the local donation shop, which where we live, it's called Savers. It's a store. It's just you drop the stuff off there and they sell it for really cheap, or they just donate it if they don't think they can sell it. And that's what we did. So I still have stuff that I need to get rid of, but I'm not going to be able to fully do that until I get my van back. And if this is your first time listening to my podcast, I do recommend you checking out the very first episode, which I talk about, my van, which is a Chevy Astro van, a 2002 Chevy Astro van, and the current problems I'm having with it and the current problems that are being fixed. Right now, I don't actually have the van in my possession anymore. It's in the shop. A very, very expensive fix. The suspension and something wrong with the engine. I don't want to get too into detail because I have already made a YouTube video on this and I have already made a podcast episode on this. So if you want to know what's wrong with my van, just go over to my very first episode and I explain everything that needs to be known there. Anyway, I don't have my van in my possession right now, and I will be getting it back hopefully in a couple days, and then I'll be able to finish out my build, which if you guys are interested in watching like van build videos, I do have a van build series on my YouTube channel. I have made 3 videos so far in that playlist, and I'm itching to make more videos in that because it's actually really, even though I'm not like a hands-on person and I've never really built anything before, I'm having a lot of fun building this van. It's very stressful. It's like nothing ever goes as planned ever. I don't think one thing in this van build has gone as planned, but I guess that's the fun, right? It's about figuring it out, and that's what I've been doing. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So if you guys want to check out, the progress I've made so far, stripping and installing the vinyl flooring and the insulation and stuff, check that out on my YouTube channel. It's just my van build series. You'll see, I don't have that many videos on my channel yet. So if you just go to my YouTube channel, you'll be able to check out those videos. But I do have a playlist for that. So if you want to watch it all in order. But yeah, so I can't really finish getting rid of a lot of my stuff until I build out my van and I really see how much storage we have. Erica definitely has a lot more stuff than I do still. Oh, she always has. I mean, for the most part, girls have more clothes than guys do, right? I mean, let's just be honest. So, and she's been having a lot of trouble getting rid of that stuff. But anyway, yeah, like I was saying, I don't really know how much stuff I can bring with me until I have all the storage built out. And then it's kind of like if you've ever downsized like into an apartment, or like you went from like a 2-bedroom to a studio, you might have already gotten rid of a lot of stuff, but you don't know what you can fit until you actually move into that studio and you bring all your stuff with you. And then it's like, all right, do I really need this third fan, or would I rather have the extra space? So that's kind of where I'm at with like the minimalism aspect and getting rid of stuff. But I really do love the idea of minimalism because I like the idea of, one, not letting your possessions like own you, and 2, just having quality things over a quantity of things, or a quantity of quality things, which a lot of people have, even though they can't afford it, right? So like there's 2 aspects to minimalism. There's I guess there's more than two aspects, but one of them is the financial aspect, which I think would help out a lot of people in America. I know there's like a big debate going on of like, raising minimum wage. And I don't want to get political and stuff, but I do think there are a lot of people who are underpaid. But I also do think that the big problem in America today, or in the world today, is just people living not within their means. I mean, people are buying expensive designer clothes. People are buying expensive cars. I mean, the amount of people I know when I was in college, or when I first got out of college, when I was like 20 years old, that were my age and owned a car that was more than $15,000. Like a Nissan Maxima that was 19,000, or a Dodge Ram pickup that was 20,000, or the amount of people who own those cars that were like 19, 20, 21 years old. It's insane, man. You become a slave to that $400 payment. It's like you're just out of school and you're already handcuffing yourself on top of the college loans that a lot of people already have. So I think a lot of people are living over their means. And I think if a lot of people can just sell their stuff, minimalize, and not buy unnecessary expensive things that they don't necessarily need, then a lot of people will be a lot better off. Like, for example, I have an expensive camera, right? I had a Canon C100 Mark II. I sold it, got myself a Panasonic Lumix GH5. Those are cameras that are thousands of dollars. Well, the Panasonic Lumix GH5, the body alone was like $15, and then I got the $800 lens, and I have another $2,000 lens. And yeah, that's expensive, but that's my profession. Those things make me money, right? Now, if my friend who is a bartender bought those and had no plan on ever working and making money off of it, that would be an unnecessary purchase. Just like if I, started going to bartending school and did all that stuff with no intentions of actually being a bartender, that would be a waste of money as well, right? And I think I think there's a time and place to spend a lot of money on things, and there's a time and place not to. And it's really interesting diving deep into the world of minimalism, because I'm doing it firsthand right now. I'm getting rid of a lot of stuff, and it surprisingly feels really good when you get rid of stuff, even things that you kind of have an emotional attachment to. It feels good. Now, I'm kind of rambling. And like I said, a lot of you guys, probably are very well familiar with minimalism. So I'm not trying to like talk about what minimalism is. It's just, I guess, my opinion and my experience making the transition to minimalism. And I guess that's a good transition to a transition I'm having in life. So something else I wanted to talk about is, just the drastic change of picking up all your stuff and leaving your hometown and moving across the country, and living on the road for a few months or a year. And that's a big decision. And even though it sounds cool and awesome, everything sounds all gravy, it's still a big decision. You're still leaving the people who you've known your whole life. You're leaving the familiar faces, the familiar sights, and all that stuff. And you're starting a brand new life somewhere else with a bunch of people you've never even seen before. And something that has always, there's a few things that have scared me in life. One of them is regret, and the other one is kind of just staying the same and never really changing. And I guess they kind of go hand in hand, right? So I'm a big believer of you regret the things you don't do. So like if there's anything that keeps you up at night that you're laying in bed and thinking about, or when you're sitting down in the office and you're kind of doing your work but you're daydreaming about something else, if there's things that repetitively are going through your head, I'm a big believer of you got to act on those things. Because if you don't, I think by the time you're older, you're gonna look back and be like, well, damn, I never really took any chances. I never really tried it, so I would really never know if I could have done it. Like if you're always dreaming about writing a book, you want to be an author, you want to write a book, and you're at work and you're thinking about writing a book, and you're always reading books, and you're thinking about how you would love to make your own book like that or whatever. I have nothing to do with writing or making books or anything, but it's just an example. And you're always daydreaming about being an author and writing a book, and you have this story in your head, but you never actually do it. You're too scared of what other people are going to think. You never actually make that first step into grabbing your pencil or opening up your laptop and just start writing. I think you would regret that. And that's something that scares me, right? And I mean, a lot of people say that, you know, when you're on your deathbed, you're going to regret the things you don't do. But you can actually make that more of a practical way of thinking, right? You can think right now, however old you are, whether you're 23 like myself, or you're 16, or you're 50, or you're 12, whatever it is. Right now, what is one thing that you wish you did that you cannot go back and change? Like, for example, I wish I played football in high school, right? I can never change that. So, like, out of all the things I regret in high school, it's not like shooting my shot and asking that girl out and getting rejected. It's not, failing a test. It's the things I didn't do. It's you regret not asking the girl out more than asking the girl out and getting rejected, right? So I'm a firm believer if there's something haunting you, if there's something that's in the back of your head that you're always thinking of, you got to just do it, man. So, like, for me, that's been traveling and starting my own business and moving out of my hometown. Those are three things that have been in my head for a long time. Like, I've been wanting to travel. I've lived in the same city my whole life. I've been wanting to move out of here and see what it's like to start a new life somewhere else. And I've been wanting to create content and create my own freelance business. And those are all three things I'm going to be attacking now in 2019 and 2020. Now, of course, there's a difference between poor risks and strategic risks, right? Like, it's not in your best interest to just walk into work one day and quit your job and say, all right, I'm traveling the world. This is it. I'm going to go empty out my bank account and I'm going to go travel. No, that's a terrible idea. You're probably going to end up homeless. Okay? So the reason why I said that, I said earlier in this podcast, there's been a lot of planning. And now it finally feels surreal that I'm leaving my job on Friday is because there's been a lot of financial planning, a lot of mathematics I've been attacking, a lot of scenarios I've been thinking out in my head and thinking out on paper. So that's just something to consider when you're thinking of all these ideas, when you're thinking of your dreams and aspirations and how you want to attack them in life. I say 100% go for it. 100,000,000% go for it, but obviously have a plan. Don't blindly throw yourself out there and expect the universe to take care of you. No, I think the universe rewards risks, but it rewards smart, strategic, goal-oriented risks. So speaking on having goals and making major changes to my life, I've also been writing down a lot of things I want to change to my, day-to-day lifestyle that will also lead to bigger, greater changes in my life. So now that I'm not going to be spending 8 to 9 hours a day sitting in front of a computer in an office, I want to really work on my physical and mental health because, in my opinion, I know this is different for everyone, right? Some people love the idea of working in an office, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some people love working with their hands. Some people love being creative. Some people are analytical. Everyone's different. So when I kind of have like a sort of resentment towards like working in an office or working a 9 to 5, I'm not putting that down. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying for me that's bad. Everyone's different. So with me not having to sit down in front of a computer in an office for 8 to 9 hours a day, there's a lot of things I can take advantage of. Now, one of them being my physical health, right? So it's a lot harder to, now I know this is an excuse. This is 100% an excuse, but it is also real. It's a lot harder to work on your physical aspect of life, going to the gym, going on runs, stretching, eating healthier. It's harder to do that when you're working a 9 to 5. When you're immobile all day, sitting down in front of a computer, it's a lot harder when you get out of work to get your energy back up to a 10 and hit that gym and go on a run and go play basketball and go lift weights and then go knock out a protein shake and make yourself up a nice healthy meal. It's a lot harder because, like, in a way, it's like your energy, even though you're not physically doing anything, your energy does kind of get sucked out of you. And I know that is an excuse. I mean, that's a 100% an excuse, but there's also some realness to that. So something I want to really take advantage of now that there's no excuses I can make whatsoever is my physical health. And I think that, focusing on my physical health is also going to lead to improvement in my mental health. Now, mental health is something that is becoming very relevant now, but I still feel like we don't talk about it too much. Now, mental health doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything wrong, right? It doesn't mean everyone has a state of mental health, right? I mean, just because you might not necessarily have a mental health illness, doesn't mean you don't need to make improvements on your mental health. So something I'm actively trying to start doing is communicating better with the people around me, especially because I can get into habits of, being on my phone for extended periods of time, playing video games, being on my laptop, burying myself in editing and stuff like that. And also just, not taking the time out of my day to just sit down and meditate, relax. I guess the only time of day that I really do that is when I go to sleep, right? But most of us, like myself, when we're laying in bed, we're on our phones. So something I'm actively trying to change, and I've been actually starting to do this lately, is just working on removing technology from my life, removing social media from my life, slowing down life, taking a few breaths, and relaxing, meditating. I heard a guest, I think his name was Naval, I forget his last name. He was on the Joe Rogan Experience, his podcast, and he said something fascinating. He was like, they were getting all into detail of how they like to meditate and all this stuff and what they like to do. And he said, meditation is just the art of doing nothing. And that really resonated with me. Like, wow, the art of doing nothing. The ability to just be able to sit down, not hear anything, not watch TV, not be on your phone, not listen to music, not listen to a podcast. Just taking a few breaths, concentrating on your breathing, and thinking of nothing. Charging your mental state, I guess, right? So that's something I'm really trying to work on, is my physical and my mental health especially, because I think in 2019, especially in America, we get so caught up in our day-to-day lives. Wake up, gotta go get breakfast, gotta take a shower, gotta get out the door, gotta go gas up, gotta go get to work, hurry up, we're in traffic, now we're in work, now we gotta focus on all the tasks at hand. There's so many things we have to worry about. Sometimes we forget to just slow down, look out the window, and realize that the sky is blue, right? Smell the flowers. It's a beautiful day to be alive. A lot of us overlook simple things in life that make life awesome because we're in such a rush to do pointless things, or even not pointless things, right? We're in a rush to do important things, but sometimes we gotta just slow down, relax, realize the grass is green, the sky is blue, and the sun is warm, right? And just I feel like just doing those simple things, or that one simple thing, can improve your day drastically, right? So working on my physical health, working on my diet, working on my mental health, those are all things those are all going to be top priorities on my list starting today. I mean, I have a couple more days left to work, but I mean, let's be honest, these are all things I could have been doing while I was working, and you can not easily, but you can definitely do while working, but I've been neglecting. I've been using work. I've been using how busy I am as an excuse to ignore these things, when in reality, your health and your mental health are 100% the most important things in life. Without those two things, you have nothing. You can have all the money in the world, but if you're sick and have a terrible state of mind, then what's all that money for, right? You're going to die with $1 billion in your bank account, and it's going to go towards nothing. So now that I cannot make an excuse, like I said, I've actively owned the fact that I've been using my office job as an excuse to neglect my physical and mental health. Now that I don't have that excuse, those are two things on the top of my checklist, the top of my priorities that I want to take care of. So that's it, and that's that for today's episode. Thanks for listening. I just wanted to get a few things off my head, get a few things off my chest. I appreciate you guys making it this far into the episode. And again, if you guys want to show some more support, I don't have a Patreon or anything right now, but if you guys want to just check out my YouTube channel, Steven Richard, just type that in on YouTube. You guys can check me out there. If you guys haven't already listened to the first episode of this podcast, make sure you guys check that out too if you guys enjoyed this one. So yeah, that's that. I appreciate you guys hanging out, and I see you guys in the next episode of the podcast. Peace.